The compound gate swung open at exactly 6:13 in the morning, and what walked out wasn't a person anymore, it was a confession machine wrapped in a nightgown. Lina stumbled into the center of Glory Junction Compound, her mouth moving faster than her brain could catch up, and before the sun fully rose over Kubwa that Sunday morning, she would expose secrets that had been buried deeper than Lagos potholes. But let's rewind 12 hours, to when everything was still quiet, and hunger was sharpening its claws. Glory Junction Compound sat in the heart of Kubwa like a small village that refused to mind its business. 20 rooms arranged in a square, one borehole that fought for its life every dry season, and tenants who knew your bathroom schedule better than you did. Here, news traveled faster than MTN network messages, and everyone had an opinion about everyone else's life. Lina had moved into room 7-8 months ago with 2 suitcases and a dream that was already starting to fade around the edges. She was slim, the kind of slim that made people whisper, "Is she eating?" With eyes that always looked slightly startled, as if life kept surprising her in unpleasant ways. "I'm expecting my call any moment now," she told Mama Risi on her first day, clutching a folder full of bank application receipts. "I applied to 32 banks. Someone will surely call." Mama Risi had smiled the way Lagos people smile when they know something you don't yet. "Ehen, we are waiting, oh." Meanwhile, there is a woman selling okra at the junction if you need to eat before your call comes. Now, 8 months later, the folder sat under Lina's bed gathering dust, and the only calls she received were from her mother asking when she would send money home. She had stopped counting how many meals she skipped. Her wrapper hung looser each week, and when she walked past, children stopped playing to stare. "That one SEF, hunger is worrying her, oh," Mama Famni whispered loudly to her neighbor. One afternoon. "See how her cheekbones are coming out like somebody carved them." Lina pretended not to hear. She pretended a lot of things these days, pretended she wasn't hungry, pretended she had somewhere to go when she left the compound aimlessly, pretended the shame wasn't eating her faster than any food could. But if Lina was the compound's walking question mark, Mama Ziba was its exclamation point. The landlady was a woman built like she had been constructed specifically to intimidate, broad shoulders, arms that could wrestle a full-grown goat, and a voice that could wake ancestors. Her husband, Potoma, was barely 5 feet tall and spent most of his time nodding at whatever she said. "Yes, my wife. You are correct, my wife. As you wish, my wife." People joked that Potoma had been in the civil service so long he forgot how to make decisions without 3 signatures and a stamp. But Mama Ziba. She ran Glory Junction like a military general in wrapper and slippers. And every evening at exactly 7 o'clock, she performed her greatest work, cooking her legendary Kubwa okra supreme. The soup was famous. Not just in the compound, people 3 streets away knew when Mama Ziba was cooking. The aroma moved through the air like a spirit with a mission, sliding under doors, climbing through windows, wrapping around throats and squeezing until mouths watered automatically. Fresh fish. Pomo thick as leather. Crayfish ground so fine it dissolved into pure flavor. Ugu leaves that still had morning dew energy. And stockfish that had been soaked until it surrendered all its sweetness. Tenants created excuses to walk past her kitchen when the soup was cooking. Children suddenly remembered they needed to play near her door. Even the compound dogs would pause mid-walk, lift their noses, and look personally offended that they weren't human. "Mama Ziba, your hand is blessed, oh," someone would shout. She would wave dismissively, but everyone could see the pride in her eyes. "It's just soup now. Nothing special." It was everything special. And that Tuesday evening, when she cooked the richest pot she had made in months, Lina nearly broke. She sat in front of her room with a cup of gari that looked more like punishment than food, just gari and water, no sugar, no milk, nothing. The steam from Mama Ziba's kitchen drifted across the compound like a personal attack, and Lina's stomach responded with a growl so loud that little Kamsi, playing nearby, stopped and stared. "Auntie Lina, is your stomach crying?" The other children giggled. Lina forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. No, dear. Go and play. But her stomach wasn't done. It growled again, longer this time, like it was filing an official complaint. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to focus on anything else, her job applications, her mother's last phone call, the scripture about God providing for the birds of the air, but all her brain could think about was that soup. At 9:47 that night, after everyone had retreated to their rooms and the compound lights dimmed to sleepy orange, Lina made a decision that would change everything. She stood up, her heart beating against her ribs like it was trying to escape, and tiptoed across the compound toward Mama Ziba's kitchen. The pot sat on the shelf, still warm, its contents calling to her like a siren song. She looked left. Looked right. Listened for footsteps. Nothing but the sound of generators humming and somewhere, a baby crying. Just 2 spoons, she told herself. Just enough to stop the pain in her belly. Mama Ziba had so much, she wouldn't notice. Lina lifted the pot cover, and the aroma hit her so hard she nearly whimpered. Her hand trembled as she scooped the soup into a small container she'd hidden in her wrapper. 2 spoons became 3. 3 became 4. Before she knew what was happening, she had taken enough to fill a cup. Panic seized her, the pot level had definitely changed. Quickly, she added water from the bucket, stirring frantically to mix it in, then rushed back to her room. Inside, with the door locked and her heart still racing, Lina ate that soup like it was her last meal on earth. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she swallowed, and she couldn't tell if she was crying from relief or shame. Probably both. God forgive me, she whispered between mouthfuls. I'm so sorry. I'm so hungry. Please forgive me. The soup was everything she had imagined and more. For those 5 minutes, she forgot about job applications and her mother's disappointed voice and the way people looked at her. She just ate. The next morning came with a scream that could crack cement. My soup. What happened to my soup? Lina jerked awake, her heart immediately knowing she was in trouble. She heard doors banging open, footsteps running, voices overlapping in confusion. Mama Ziba, what is it? Did rat enter the pot? Oh. Did it spoil? My soup has reduced. Mama Ziba's voice could probably be heard in the next local government. Somebody came to my kitchen in the middle of the night and stole my soup. The compound erupted. Within minutes, everyone was outside in various states of undress, wrappers hastily tied, singlets inside out, bathroom slippers on the wrong feet. Pa Thomas stood beside his wife looking confused, as usual. But who will steal soup? Papa Ola asked, scratching his head. Are ghosts using spoons now? Maybe the pot is leaking, Mama Risi suggested. Leaking? Mama Ziba's eyes could have melted still. Does soup leak upward? Come and see. The level dropped from here to here. She demonstrated with her hand. That is not leaking, that is stealing. Lina stood with the others, her face carefully arranged into innocent shock. Chai! Who could do such a thing? That is wickedness. Oh. Exactly. Mama Ziba pointed at nothing in particular. The person is wicked. The person is heartless. The person is in this compound right now, pretending like butter wouldn't melt in their mouth. The gathering turned suspicious. People started eyeing each other sideways. Mama family looked at the mechanic who lived in room 12. The mechanic looked at the students in room 3. Everyone had a theory. I'm telling you, it's spiritual, Papa Sena announced. My late father once told me about ancestral hunger that can possess people. I beg, there is nothing ancestral here, Mama Ziba cut him off. It's a human being with human stomach and human wickedness. And I will catch them. Even if they hide inside oxygen, I will find them. The meeting dissolved into arguments and speculation, but Mama Ziba's promise hung in the air like a threat. Lina returned to her room, closed the door, and sat on her mattress, shaking. She should stop. She knew she should stop. But that night, when 10 p.m. came and hunger returned with reinforcements, she found herself creeping to that kitchen again. And again the next night. And the night after that. Each time, she told herself it was the last time. Each time, she added water to cover her tracks. Each time, she returned to her room hating herself a little more. By Friday, the compound was in chaos. Mama Ziba's soup disappeared 4 nights in a row. Accusations flew like arrows. Papa Ola accused the gateman. The gateman accused the students. The students accused each other. One woman even accused her own husband, and they didn't speak for 2 days. Lina attended every emergency meeting, nodding sympathetically, even suggesting they install better locks. She carried her Bible everywhere, humming hymns loudly whenever anyone looked her way. The perfect disguise. But Mama Ziba had reached her limit. That Saturday morning, she wrapped her headscarf tight, grabbed her purse, and marched out of the compound with a determination that made people move out of her way. She was going to see Mama Tanj. Mama Tanj lived 3 streets away in a compound that smelled permanently of pepper and herbs. She was known throughout Kubwa as the woman who could cure anything: headache, heartbreak, terrible in-laws, even bad luck in business. Her weapon of choice: spices. Oh, Mama Ziba. She welcomed her friend into a room filled with bottles, bags, and containers of things that probably shouldn't be mixed together. I was just preparing my special garlic blend for protection against office gossip. What brings you? Mama Ziba collapsed into a chair like her bones had given up. Mama Tanj, I'm finished. Someone is stealing my soup. Stealing soup. In this economy. Mama Tanj looked genuinely shocked. The person must be very hungry or very foolish. Maybe both. 4 times. 4 times this thief has entered my kitchen. I cannot sleep. I cannot rest. Potoma is afraid to eat now, saying the soup might be cursed. Imagine. My own husband, doubting my soup. Mama Tanj stood up, her wrapper swishing dramatically. She walked to a wooden cabinet and pulled out a small, unassuming bag. Inside was pepper, red, dried, ground fine as powder. Do you see this? She held it up like a prophet holding holy water. This is truth pepper. Very rare. Very powerful. I got it from a woman in my village who got it from her grandmother who got it from, well, that story is too long. Truth pepper. You sprinkle just a small pinch, smaller than small, into your soup. Whoever eats it will confess everything they have ever done wrong. Every lie, every secret, every hidden thing. The truth will pour from their mouth like water from a broken pipe. Mama Ziba's eyes widened. Everything. Everything. In fact, Mama Tanj leaned in conspiratorially. If you use too much, the person might even confess where missing government money is hiding. But you must be careful. Small pinch only. She packaged the pepper into an even smaller bag and handed it over with the seriousness of someone passing classified documents. Cook your soup tonight. Use this. By tomorrow morning, the whole compound will know who the thief is. But Mama Ziba. Yes. Make sure you're ready for the truth. Because once it starts coming out, it doesn't stop until everything is exposed. And I mean everything. That evening, Mama Ziba cooked like she was preparing for a president's visit. Fresh fish she bought specifically for this occasion. The biggest pieces of Como. Crayfish ground so fine it looked like red sand. She stirred the pot with one hand and clutched the truth pepper packet with the other, whispering prayers. God, let this work. Expose this thief. Let truth reign in Glory Junction Compound tonight. When the soup was almost ready, she pinched the smallest amount of truth pepper between her fingers, barely anything, practically invisible, and sprinkled it into the pot. The soup bubbled once, twice, like it was accepting its new mission. The aroma that rose from that pot was stronger than any she'd made before. It moved through the compound like a living thing, wrapping around doors, seeping through cracks, finding its way into every room. People stopped what they were doing and inhaled deeply. Oh, Mama Ziba has really outdone herself today. The soup smells like heaven decided to visit Kubwa. And in room 7, Lina smelled it too. She tried to resist. She really did. She drank water. She prayed. She lay down and covered her head with her pillow. But that aroma was relentless, and her stomach was more relentless, and by 9:30 p.m., she was standing in front of her door, watching Mama Ziba's kitchen from the shadows. At 10:15 p.m., after everyone had gone to bed and the compound was quiet except for the usual generator noise, Lina made her move. This time, she didn't just take a little. The soup was too perfect, too tempting, too everything she needed. She scooped a full bowl, added her usual water to the pot, and crept back to her room like a thief in the night, which, technically, she was. She ate every drop. Licked the bowl clean. Fell asleep with a full stomach for the first time in weeks, smiling despite the guilt gnawing at her conscience. She had no idea that by morning, that smile would be gone, replaced by a mouth that couldn't stop speaking truth even if her life depended on it. And in a way, it did. 6:13 a.m. The time would be burned into Glory Junction Compound's memory forever. Lina's eyes flew open. Her body was hot, not fever hot, but like something was burning inside her chest, climbing up her throat, filling her mouth with words that wanted to explode outward. "No," she whispered, pressing her hands to her lips. "No, no, no. I stole the soup." The words burst from her mouth like they had been shot from a cannon. She clapped her hand over her face, but her voice just got louder, forcing its way between her fingers. "I stole Mama Ziba's soup. 4 times. 5 times. I added water. I'm the thief." She stumbled out of her room, still in her nightgown, unable to stop the confession pouring from her lips. Doors started opening. Faces appeared, confused and alarmed. "What is happening? Is that Lina shouting? Did she say she stole the soup?" More doors opened. More people emerged. Within seconds, the entire compound was outside, surrounding Lina, who had fallen to her knees in the center of the compound, tears streaming down her face as words kept coming. "Mama Ziba, I'm sorry. I was hungry. So hungry. I couldn't stop myself. Every night I came and took your soup and I knew it was wrong, but my stomach was empty and I couldn't think straight and..." "Chai!" Mama Risi screamed. "It was you. All this time we were suspecting each other, it was you." Papa Ola looked personally betrayed. But Lina wasn't finished. Not even close. The truth pepper was just getting started. "Mama Risi." Lina's head swung toward her neighbor. "I used your gas last month. I told you it was leaking, but I used it to boil water. I'm sorry." Mama Risi's jaw dropped. "My gas. You said, you lied. Papa Ola. Your roasted plantain that disappeared 2 weeks ago. I took it. I was so hungry I took it from your window when you went to bed. My plantain." Papa Ola grabbed his head like it might fall off. "I accused the gateman. I nearly fired that man." The compound was no longer quiet. Shouts overlapped. People were screaming questions. Children had woken up and were watching like it was a movie. But Lina couldn't stop, and now the truth pepper was digging deeper, pulling out secrets that had nothing to do with hunger. "Mama Fomni. Your meat didn't vanish by miracle. It vanished into my stomach. 3 pieces from your stew 2 months ago." Mama Fomni nearly fainted. My special stew. The one I cooked for my daughter's birthday. Papa Senna. Lina's voice was hoarse now, but the words kept flowing. Your money didn't get lost. Brother James in room 9 borrowed it and used it for betting. He told me when he was drunk. 160,000 naira on virtual betting. The compound exploded. What? Brother James. My money. Papa Senna spun toward room 9, where Brother James was trying to slowly back away. You took my money. I was going to, I can explain. But Papa Senna wasn't interested in explanations. He lunged forward, and 3 men had to grab him to prevent murder from happening at 6:23 on a Sunday morning. Lina still wasn't done. The truth paper had found the motherlode of secrets, and it was going to make sure every single one saw sunlight. Mama Kate. She pointed at a woman trying to hide behind her husband. You've been seeing the SUYA seller at the junction. Every Wednesday when your husband goes for night shift. I saw you last month. You bought him new shoes. The compound went silent for exactly 2 seconds before erupting into complete chaos. Mama Kate's husband turned to look at his wife with an expression that could freeze fire. The suya seller. The one with the scar on his face. That suya seller. Darling, I can explain. You bought him shoes. Now there were multiple fights threatening to break out. People were screaming questions. Children had woken up and were watching like it was a movie. But Lina couldn't stop, and now the truth paper was digging deeper, pulling out secrets that had nothing to do with hunger. Mama Fomni. Your meat didn't vanish by miracle. It vanished into my stomach. 3 pieces from your stew 2 months ago. Mama Fomni nearly fainted. My special stew. The one I cooked for my daughter's birthday. Papa Senna. Lina's voice was hoarse now, but the words kept flowing. Your money didn't get lost. Brother James in room 9 borrowed it and used it for betting. He told me when he was drunk. 160,000 naira on virtual betting. The compound exploded. What? Brother James. My money. Papa Senna spun toward room 9, where Brother James was trying to slowly back away. You took my money. I was going to, I can explain. But Papa Senna wasn't interested in explanations. He lunged forward, and 3 men had to grab him to prevent murder from happening at 6:23 on a Sunday morning. Lina still wasn't done. The truth paper had found the motherlode of secrets, and it was going to make sure every single one saw sunlight. Mama Kate. She pointed at a woman trying to hide behind her husband. You've been seeing the SUYA seller at the junction. Every Wednesday when your husband goes for night shift. I saw you last month. You bought him new shoes. The compound went silent for exactly 2 seconds before erupting into complete chaos. Mama Kate's husband turned to look at his wife with an expression that could freeze fire. The suya seller. The one with the scar on his face. That suya seller. Darling, I can explain. You bought him shoes. Now there were multiple fights threatening to break out. People were screaming in 3 different languages. Children were running commentary like football commentators. Someone's wrapper fell off in the confusion. The bucket got kicked over. The gateman had climbed on top of his security post to watch everything safely from above. And in the center of it all, Lina sat on the ground, crying and confessing, unable to stop the truth that kept pouring from her mouth. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was hungry and ashamed and I couldn't tell anyone and I just wanted to eat something good for once and I didn't mean to cause all this and... Lina. Mama Ziba's voice cut through the chaos like a machete through bush. Lina, stop talking. But Lina couldn't stop. Her mouth had become independent from her brain. Mama Ziba, your soup is the best thing I've ever tasted in my life. Better than my mother's. Better than restaurant food. It's like heaven decided to become liquid. I would steal it again if I could stop talking long enough to think properly. Despite everything, the chaos, the fighting, the absolute destruction of compound peace, several people burst out laughing at that. Even Mama Ziba's lip twitched slightly. Mama Famni was chasing the mechanic around the compound, accusing him of telling everyone her business. Papa Senna was still being restrained from getting to Brother James. Mama Kate and her husband had retreated into their room, and the sound of breaking plates could be heard. 2 children were crying. The gateman was on his phone, definitely calling other people to come watch this drama. And then, like a generator suddenly cutting off, Lina's voice stopped. She collapsed forward, exhausted, her throat burning, her eyes red from crying. The truth pepper had finally released its hold. The compound slowly began to calm down. Fights paused. Shouting reduced to angry muttering. People started to realize they were standing outside in their night clothes with half the street watching through the fence. Mama Ziba walked forward slowly, her face unreadable. Everyone stepped back to give her space. She stood in front of Lina, who was still on the ground, too exhausted and ashamed to look up. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The compound held its breath. Then Mama Ziba did something nobody expected. She bent down, grabbed Lina's arm, and pulled her to her feet. Not roughly, gently, like she was helping her daughter up after a fall. "Come," she said simply. She led Lina to her kitchen while everyone watched in silence. Through the doorway, they could see her opening her pot of yesterday's soup, the regular one, not the trap. She filled a big bowl, added EBA from her warmer, and pushed it toward Lina. "Eat." Lina stared at the food like it might bite her. "Mama Ziba, I eat. If you were hungry, you should have just told somebody. We are not animals here. Nobody should be stealing soup in the middle of the night like a rat." She paused, her voice softening slightly. "But nobody should be so hungry they become a rat either." "Eat." Lina ate. And cried. And ate some more. The compound slowly dispersed, people returning to their rooms with new information to process and relationships to repair. Some were still angry. Some were shocked. Some were secretly glad the truth had come out. Patoma approached his wife later, after Lina had been fed and sent back to her room to rest. "That pepper worked well. Maybe too well." "That's the problem with truth," Mama Ziba said, washing her pot. "Once you invite it, it doesn't stop at one person's secret. It exposes everything." By evening, the compound had held an emergency meeting. Rules were established: no more hoarding food when someone was hungry. A compound fund for anyone struggling. And most importantly, no more truth pepper, ever. "That thing is too powerful," Papa Ola declared. "Today we survived, but next time it might expose things that will scatter this compound permanently." Everyone agreed. Some secrets were better left buried. Mama Ziba gave the remaining truth pepper back to Mama Tanj, who accepted it with a knowing smile. "I told you to be ready for the truth. You didn't tell me it would expose the entire compound. Truth doesn't work in portions, my dear. It's all or nothing." As for Lina, Potoma made calls to his old civil service contacts. Within 2 weeks, she had an interview at a microfinance bank. She didn't get hired immediately, but they offered her a contract position, enough to eat properly and send something home. The compound never quite forgot that Sunday morning. It became legend. The day truth spoke in Kubwa. Parents used it to teach children about honesty. Couples used it to threaten each other during arguments: "Don't let me add truth pepper to your food." And Mama Ziba's soup. It remained legendary. But now, whenever she cooked, she would call out, "If anybody is hungry, come and collect food. Nobody should be stealing in this compound again." Usually, someone would show up. Sometimes it was the students. Sometimes the gateman. Sometimes it was Lina herself, no longer ashamed to admit she needed help. Because that was the real lesson that came from that chaotic Sunday morning. Not about magical peppers or confession soups, but about community. About swallowing pride before pride swallows you. About the truth that nobody should be so hungry they have to steal, and nobody should be so proud they can't ask for help. Glory Junction Compound was still full of gossip. Still noisy. Still got into everyone's business. But now, when they got into your business, it was sometimes to help. And that made all the difference. So if you ever visit Kubwa and smell an aroma so good it makes your knees weak, find Glory Junction Compound and knock on Mama Ziba's door. She might give you a taste of our legendary soup, the regular version, not the truth-telling one. But be warned, if you take the food, you become part of the family. And in that compound, family means knowing your business. Correcting your mistakes, exposing your secrets, and feeding you when you're hungry, not necessarily in that order. Music swells. If this story made you laugh, cry, or hungry for some okra soup, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling us, what would you confess if you ate truth pepper? And don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear a story about community, hunger, and the power of a really good pot of soup. Until next time, may your pots always be full and your secrets reasonably hidden.